Gambling, I suppose, was always a thing, right? It was always there. As soon as you turn 18 in Australia, you go to the pub and there's these weird machines in the corner with the sights and sounds. I never really paid much attention to them, if truth be told, until I was 23, 24, and I'd gone for a business trip down to Melbourne. And you can imagine a 24-year-old alone in Melbourne CBD. I didn't really have much to do on an evening. I was there for 3 or 4 days for work. And inside my hotel, down the bottom, there was what I would only describe as a mini casino, and I think a lot of people know what I mean by that. 50 to 100 machines in one venue. And I thought it would be an interesting idea to maybe check it out. I was, sitting in my hotel room alone, and I'd seen it on the way in at check-in. So I thought I'd indulge. So I withdrew $20, and for me that was a lot of money back then to be even thinking about putting into a machine. But I saw other people who seemed to be enjoying themselves and obviously really intent and focused on what they were playing. So I thought, why not? Anyway, I was sitting at the machine doing the 20 cents, 60 cents bets, which I'd seen other people do previously, and not really seen anything, any harm in doing that. Until it got down to about $5, and I was getting a little bit bored by this point. Not much had happened. There was a few sounds here and there, wins or losses disguised as wins, as I now know they're called, just to keep you engaged in the game. Anyway, I had $5 left, and I noticed there was these machines that were dollar machines. So I thought, I've got $5 left, and the max bet on this particular machine is $5. So I put this $5 note in, and I won from that one spin $1,000. The machine went crazy. Everyone around me came over and was like, wow, how'd you do this? And the feeling was just indescribable. I'd never seen $1,000 in cash, when you have those 50s. And I remember distinctly going back up to my hotel room and just jumping up and down my bed and flowing all this money around. I thought I was a king. I had all this cash, and I started thinking, is this a way of making money? I didn't really entertain that too much, kind of settled myself down. Next day I went to work. I decided to go back because I'd had such a success the night before. And sure enough, on my second or third spin, doing $5 bets, I won another $1,000. And you won't believe me when I tell you this, but the next day I went back, did the same thing, and the same thing happened. I won another $1,000. And I had discovered something. I had a skill at this. I could obviously pick the right machine. I could obviously win money and essentially print money by putting small amounts in and getting large amounts out. And it's funny how irrational that sounds when I'm telling you now, but in the moment, it seems incredibly rational, because that's what we do as humans, isn't it? We try and rationalize our behavior, and of course, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I know what the result's going to be. Now, pretty soon, of course, and I'm sure a lot of people watching can relate to this, you stop winning. But in the back of my mind, I always knew what I could win. And yes, there were moments where, you do win $500. You do win a couple of thousand maybe if you're lucky. But all those other times when you're chasing it, you're chasing the money that you've lost for groceries. You're chasing the money that you lost from bonuses that you worked really hard for and now can't explain where the money's gone. You're chasing the losses of money that was meant to be spent on a holiday that you've been saving for many, many months with your partner or loved one or friends. And pretty soon, like I did, I went from putting that $20 in to maxing out a credit card in one day, $6,000, and walking away with those feelings of loss, regret, how could I do this? And you start to lose yourself in the gambling. I didn't like who I'd become. My friends didn't like hanging out with me because I was so fixated constantly on gambling, on that feeling that rush again of winning. And you don't realise the full extent of what you've done and what you are doing. It self-perpetuates. You go back, you want more. And that's what they're designed for. And I'm not alone. And that's the most amazing thing that I can sit here and I'm not a person who's a lifetime gambler. And to talk through how I got help. So I was dating a girl, she was studying medicine, and she said to me, these are really profound words, she said, I think this is much more of a problem than you care to admit. And in that moment, it all made perfect sense to get help and talk to someone about what I was going through. But I didn't truly understand still, even in that moment, that I had a problem, or the extent of the problem. I went to a counselling service through Mission Australia. It's a free service, which is incredible. And I talked to someone, and I talked through my progression of going from that $20 to $6,000 and how quickly that had happened. That had happened in less than 12 months. And in less than 18 months, I was sitting back going, what just happened? But at least I'm in a position where someone actually pulled me aside and helped me understand. And when I sought help, there's these fantastic ways that you can exclude yourself from venues in New South Wales. It's called self-exclusion. I sat down, it's one of the first things I did with my counsellor was sit down, identify the venues where I had gambled and exclude myself from them. There's also probably one of the most profound ways that I think I've helped myself is actually by talking about what I went through with as many people as I can. I also do some structured education and outreach with Gambling Impact Society of New South Wales for the Consumer Voices program. And that really is all about spreading the message of gambling harm to as many people as possible, ranging from school children to TAFE to counselling services, and actually going in and sharing my story. That's been incredibly therapeutic for me. And I think more broadly in life, just actually learning to like myself again, obviously realise the support that is around me has been amazingly helpful for me to actually understand that. And also just talking about how we are and checking in with people, not just asking, are you okay, but actually acknowledging when people aren't and asking follow-up questions. Just like what happened in my life, I had someone who was persistent enough, who framed it in the right way, and that made such an incredible impact and difference in my life. And I think we all have that power at the end of the day to assist people. But obviously it is about looking back and acknowledging and reaching out for help when we know that deep down, we really need it.